Good day to all of you out there. Welcome to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and please do join us to learn more about diabetes, about what the local government is doing so well, and about the issue of illegal mining and many more. Today, we will be tackling those topics, and we hope you continue to watch us. For those of you watching us on Signal, TV channels 8 and 250. We hope you will enjoy the program. And for those of you who are watching us on facebook.com/onenewsph, mag-subscribe na po kayo sa Signal, along with those who are watching us via YouTube, One News PH. It's a combination of stuff. Some of our friends watch the program initially on Signal TV, and when they have to go to work or to a project, they shift to Facebook or to YouTube. In either way, we thank you. Maraming salamat po for joining us today. Today, our guests will be a very hard to find, hard to sit down mayor, because he's so hardworking, so busy, and very innovative. Along with, of course, his city council, we will be speaking with Mayor Rex Gatchalian of Valenzuela. Finally, nahuli din namin si Mayor Rex, and we will talk to him about many things happening in the city of Valenzuela. Then we will go to Jaybee Garganera, National Coordinator, Alyansa Tigil, Mina. He used to also be the private sector representative for the Philippine Council for Sustainable Development. And then we will speak to a friend of mine, Dr. Amal Makhloufi, Chairperson for Health, European Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines. Pag-uusapan namin ang diabetes. We will find out from Dr. Amal what's the situation, especially during COVID. Now, let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star for those of you who have no access to the newspaper at the moment. Okay, bannering today's stories, President Rodrigo Duterte places the entire Luzon under state of calamity. At the top of the page, still concerning the president, he threatened fund cuts for students of the University of the Philippines over protests. We also see a photo of flood victims in Cagayan Valley who are scrambling to get relief packs. And, just a note of concern, I went through that image, ladies and gentlemen. Binilang ko po, I counted all the persons who were either not wearing a face mask or who were improperly wearing a face mask, or who had dislodged their face mask in the scramble. Yung small profile na yon, 10. Practically everybody on the front line was not wearing a face mask or improperly wearing a face mask. So that's going to be an issue. At the right-hand side of the Philippine Star front page, the Philippine Red Cross will soon conduct saliva tests, which are here already and now only awaiting Department of Health approval. Don't hold your breath, because you might pass out waiting for the Department of Health giving approval. Because if you recall, the Department of Health was supposed to come up with the final pricing decision on the price of COVID RPT testing, and so that we will know what would be the fixed price for RPT PCR testing. But, they're still playing ping pong with it. And there are people on Facebook who are now saying maybe they are just delaying and delaying. So those people who invested in millions and millions of RT-PCR test kits can get their money back. So now that's the situation. And then with the saliva testing, this saliva testing will again be a threat to the RT-PCR testing, because the saliva testing, if I recall correctly in one of our interviews, was only going to be about 350, 400 pesos, and you'll have the results in 15 minutes. So if there will be a price freeze on RT-PCR testing, and then the cheaper saliva testing comes in, then you can imagine some people who were hoping to make a windfall, to make gazillions on the test kits, are going to go bust. So now that will give us something, well, it's plausible suspicion that that is the reason behind the delay of government in deciding a price freeze or a price cap on RT-PCR and the delay on this saliva testing. They're still trying to test Avigan, the Japanese medicine. I got news for you, people in the DOH. Pinaulan na po ang Abigan doon sa Visayas, particularly in Cebu. In fact, some of it reached me when they found out that my daughter got COVID-19. So, in any case, I won't ruin our viewers' day, pero nakakapikon na po. You are beginning to annoy us because you are not acting as quickly as should be in this kind of a bad health crisis. In any case, let's go at the lower half of the page. Vice President Robredo claps back at the president's tirades, saying disaster response is not a contest. Unfortunately, we now have a situation where certain people are fanning the flames of feud, of conflict between the president and the vice president, making it appear that there's now a competition of sorts on who can be seen in as many places that have been afflicted by the typhoons. And then you have that issue with the president, with the students who have been also challenging where he was during the height. But you know, all of this, I have a funny feeling, is simply distraction. To distract. Nilalanse, nililigaw, nililito, nilalayo. Nilalayo lang ang atensyon ng mga tao doon sa mga hindi magawa, hindi masolusyonan at ginagawang away na lang. Okay? Sorry, I'm calling it the way I see it. Below that story, or along that story, we see a photo of riders of food delivery service company. They held a unity ride to call on the Labor Department to investigate alleged unfair practices. And then we also have, below that, Twitter launches disappearing tweets. Para bagang yung sa Facebook, yung either news feed or story, yung story mo mawawala after a certain time. A new feature similar to Facebook and Instagram stories. Yun nga. And lastly, there is also a photo of Signal TV and Radius Telecoms officials who have signed a memorandum of agreement to launch Red Broadband, an unlimited fiber and pay TV service. Hindi po ito red tag, ha? Hindi po ito red tag sale. This is Red Broadband. Only fiber and pay TV service. Okay, so ayun po, those are the stories on the front page, and I am sure that many of those stories will still pick up steam and speed as the week goes on. Let's move now. I know he's in the wing. Let's move on to our first guest. He is the mayor of Valenzuela City. Prior to this, he was the representative of Valenzuela 1st District. Let's speak to Mayor Rex Gatchalian. Mayor Rex, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Cito. First of all, let me apologize. I know we've been trying to catch each other, pero how do I put this? This past 4 months has been probably the longest 4 months of any local chief executive's lives.
Alam mo, Mayor Rex, that is so excusable in context because as I was trying to, as the team agenda was trying to capture you, I was going through all the materials being researched about Valenzuela City. And, you know, from the very start, the first reason I wanted to get you was because you are the first LGU that I know of. Maybe there are others, pero ikaw yung unang nabalitaan ko where you built housing, low-rise housing for rent. And
public rental, yes.
Yeah, medyo wow, game changer yon because a lot of our poor kababayans have been saying that kahit lang po umupa kami, hindi naman po kami basta-basta na rin. Meron kaming dangal, basta merong mauupahang matino. And the city of Valenzuela, maybe we can talk about that quickly. How did you come out with
Yeah.
that project, and what are you going to do?
Cito, let me just give the name of the project first. It's called Disciplina Village. We have 3 of them. Disciplina Village Ugong, Lingunan, and then Bignay. Cumulatively, the 3 of them are currently housing close to 5,000 families. These families used to be located along riverbanks, waterways, under transmission lines, anything that's dangerous. Kami in Valenzuela, na-delay lang nga ng COVID, but sana kung di na-delay, I can tell you by the end of this year, wala nang Valenzuelano na nakatira sa tabing ilog, tabing sapa, or any waterway danger zones. Pero na-delay yan, but tuloy pa rin, meaning we'll get everything done by summer of next year. Basically, the concept is simple. Number 1, it's integrated and it's a township. Gone are the days na ilalagay mo sila sa isang lugar, kulang-kulang ng gamit. Ngayon, pag nirelocate sila, in city siya, it's a township concept, meaning inside the community, kompleto na yung facility. It has its own high school, elementary, basketball courts, barangay hall, police station, fire station. Kasi ang bottom line, ayaw natin yung isipin na nirelocate nga kami, pero sa ibang lugar kami nilagay, wala namang pasilidad. We don't want to give them reason na babalik sila sa pinanggalingan nilang mga danger zone. Number 2, it's public rental because, 1, marami tayong naging kaso before wherein the government would give out the title, magipit lang ng konti yung pamilya, before you know it, sinanla na yung titulo. And there they go back again to where they used to be, tabing riles, tabing ilog. So here in Disciplina Village, there's nothing to sell. Basically, they sign a perpetual use contract that's covered by a city ordinance wherein they pay only 300 pesos monthly, provided that they follow the rules. May handbook yan eh.
300 pesos lang, Mayor Rex?
Yeah, 300 pesos lang.
No,
Pero,
let me put context to it, Mayor Rex. No, first, quick question: how big are these flats?
they're loftable. Yung ground floor niya 22, yung taas niya around 8, so mga 30 to 32 square meters.
Okay, wait a minute, no? Mga kaibigan, ladies and gentlemen, many people in Metro Manila, I mean, drivers, messengers, janitors, they are renting rooms for 1,500 to 3,000 pesos, and 5 people on the average live in those rooms. Here in Valenzuela, the city government is only charging 300 for a 30 plus square meter. Aba, baka malugi ka dyan. You might go bankrupt. How sustainable is this project? I mean, commendable, but how sustainable?
It's sustainable because, you know, when you look at the paradigm na housing is a basic service. It's like healthcare, it's like education. It's not supposed to be profit-driven, Cito. It has to be a service mindset. Now, what did we do? The properties are owned by the local government. Either nasa land bank namin yan or we expropriated idle property. Then we went to National Housing Authority and asked them to finance the buildings, which they gladly did. And the 300 actually goes to the amortization. Sa NHA na pupunta yon. So it's a partnership between the local government unit and the National Housing Authority. Now the site development and the common facilities, LGU na nagtatayo nun. Cito is just like any infrastructure project. Di ba? We build schools naman everywhere. Ito, you build school for concentration of relocatees. We don't want to call them relocatees nga eh. We want to call them homeowners. Now, let me just discuss with you briefly bakit tawag namin Disciplina Village. And bakit public rental. There's a concept to that. Whenever you move there, we give you a handbook. You go through a series of orientation about being a responsible homeowner. Remember, tabing ilog, tabing sapa tong mga to, so may kulturang siga-siga. And then you're mixing up around 5,000 families in a concentrated area of around 11 hectares. Magkakagulo dyan kung yung kultura at yung mindset nila, yung siga-siga mindset pa rin. So the handbook teaches them the tenets of being a responsible homeowner. Halimbawa, bawal maglabas sa pasilyo, bawal nakahubad, bawal nagkakaraoke. Of course, bawal ang drugs. Be considerate to your neighbors. Basic homeowners rules na siguro for you and me, it's basic. But for them, nakakabago to. Kasi remember, sa tabing sapa, wala namang batas doon sa tabing ilog Now, they have a council that is equally parang 70% run by the local government, and then may seats yung homeowners nila. Every time a homeowner keeps on violating those basic rules, you get citations. And then come end of the year, we review your performance as homeowner. If you're one of those na labag lang na labag, we can evict you. And we will evict you. That's why it's called Disciplina Village. And that's why it's also public rental, both for the economic side of it, but also for changing the mindset of a person. Na hindi ka na squatter, kundi homeowner ka na.
Okay, well, okay na idea. Anong pangalan ng handbook? Is the handbook entitled The Teachings of Chairman Rex?
No. It's called Gabay sa Paninirahan sa Disiplina Village. Mga tuntunin sa pagiging disiplinado na mamamayan. Kasi we've seen this we studied the other old model. Yung nga, ang mga nakita naming flaw, number 1, dadali nila sa out city. Kami lahat in city to. Obviously, everybody stays in Valenzuela.
Yeah.
Out city mo yan, babalik yan dito kasi nandito ang pamilya niya, nandito ang trabaho. Number 2, you put them in, i-relocate mo dati, wala namang sapat na pasilidad. Ganun din, may bahay nga, pero you get these horror stories, walang kuryente, walang tubig, walang school. So, ganun din, babalik na naman sila sa dati nilang pinanggalingan. Number 3, you always get these stories na nakakatakot tumira sa relocation site kasi puro siga yung nakatira. You have to remember, you're trying to change a dog-eat-dog world mindset. These are people that lived all their lives in a tabing ilog na puro siga, na if you don't protect yourself, talagang lalamunin ka ng buhay. So we have to put some discipline to it.
Okay, now I'm curious to know how have the resident homeowners responded or reacted to this? Have they actually shown that they're capable of being responsible people, or you have to keep ejecting people?
You'll be surprised. Ito nga yung kasabihan di ba may biroan noon, pag noon nung may Clark or may Subic pa when they were American bases, di ba ang biroan, pag pumunta ang Pinoy doon, pag stoplight nagsa-stop, pero paglabas niya, dire-diretso siya kahit stoplight. Ang disiplina na, madaling disiplinahin ang Pilipino, lang talaga lagyan mo ng rules ahead of time. So alam mo, Cito, out of the 5,000 we've relocated, barely a dozen ang aming na-evict. Wala, kasang-kasa sa daliri ko. Literally. Kasi people, when they know the rules from day one, and the rules are fair, and the rules are disclosed early on, susunod sila Susunod sila. So you can imagine, out of 5,000 cumulative families, we've only evicted less than a dozen.
Okay, and as far as benefits to the LGU, because it's our agenda here on Agenda. We have been pushing for the relocation of people in danger zones. We have been pushing for building better and for storm-proofing or, tragedy-proofing our kababayans. And what you have done is a classic, is the perfect. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm correct there, but in my eyes, it's a perfect solution. Now, what other benefits are there for LGU? So your fellow mayors and congressmen will get the point and copy the project.
Well, number 1, Cito, iyabang ko lang ng konti. This
Go
project
ahead.
it's a Galing Pook Awardee, so marami rin nagsasabi na maganda na yung model niya. Number 2, we get a lot of LGU visits looking at it, copying it. So that's a good sign, no? That public rental is gradually coming into the picture. And number 3, si Secretary Del Rosario has visited us a couple of times, and I understand from my brother kay Sherwin na during his budget hearing, he kept on championing also public rental. So that's a good sign, no? That it's catching on. Now, ano ang benefit sa LGU? Well, number 1, the innate benefit. Erasing the notion of poverty in a person. Alam mo, yung bringing back dignity. That's priceless. Alam mo, when I presented this nga to Galing Pook, I said, poverty is skin deep also Yung tawagin kang saan ka nakatira? Yung bata sabihin, sa tabing ilog, kaagad iisipin mo, ano yan, he's a lesser person than me. Pero ngayon, saan ka nakatira? Nakatira ako sa Disciplina Village. Hindi siya nahihiya sabihin kasi maganda yung komunidad niya. When you go there, it's a gated community. It's like a middle-class subdivision you'll see out of a middle-class residential developers catalog. Number two, alam mo, Sito, in the advent of climate change where the storms are getting more violent, where walang storm signal, biglang tataas yung tubig, where riverbanks are always swollen during the rainy season, nakakatakot yung hindi ka makatulog sa gabi na at 12 na evening paggising mo, yung mga residente mo baka nakalubog na. So at least now, na lahat almost patapos na kami. Like I said, delay lang ng COVID, yung major tributary namin na may Kawayan River and Tulian River, halos wala na kami nakatira doon. Yung nakikita nyo na ini-evacuate namin, they're beyond the 5 meters already. Remember, ang natural easement is 3 meters for inland waterways, 5 meters ang no-build zone for major waterways. Wala na kami halos. Patapos na. Like I said, delay lang nitong COVID yung construction. But the last batch of houses will be done by summer of next year. So yung mga nililikas namin are beyond 5 meters already. They're in private properties. May mga bahay yan. Kaya lang, pag malapit pa rin sa tulyahan, we do preemptive. Na wag mo nang hayaan. Kasi nga, like I said, mabagsik na yung mga bagyo. So ang benefit, less of a headache in relocating people. Ang hirap nun.
You're saving a lot of money.
At saka yung narinig ko yung balikan this past couple of days between the parties concerned niya, sinasabi nila, hindi nyo naman kami winarningan, pinakawalan nyo yung tubig ng dam. At least ngayon, kahit magpakawala sila ng tubig ng dam, hindi naman masyadong mapinsala sa amin. So, parang lalo na portions of our land are low-lying. So, at least yung mga vulnerable, wala sa komunidad namin.
Okay, now, so you have I mean, what can I say, no? Di ba? Before, sorry, I have to use the term, no? Yung mga squatter nakatira sa gillage along the river. Now they have Disciplina Village. They actually have an address. They actually have an electric connection, a water connection. So they are being trained and prepared to eventually be real homeowners when they start to prosper and have a purpose in life. Now, you, the LGU, I suppose, you have a stable population and location of qualified workers, skilled workers. Hindi na yung nagko-commute, nagtatapon ng pera sa mga biyahe, and hindi mo na kailangan identity check. Do you mentioned may kasama na rin mga police precinct inside those village?
Yeah. It's an integrated township. We call it an integrated township. I always kumuha kami ng brochure ng mga nagbebenta ng mga subdivision at condo, yung mga middle class subdivisions. Inopya na lang namin kung ano meron sila. It came with its own school. It comes with its own school, high school and elementary. Why, Cito? Because remember, we're moving them from various barangays and concentrating them in new barangays. They can put a strain on the existing infrastructure doon sa barangay. And ayaw ko mag-breed ng resentment sa existing community na tignan mo, nilipat lang dito yan mga yan. Nahirapan na kami sa paaralan, nahirapan na kami sa health center, siksikan lagi ang police station, ang bombero. So ang pangako namin sa community kung saan sila ililipat, syempre you have to look at it from both point of view. Parehas yung taga Valenzuela yung ililipat at yung paglilipatan. So yung paglilipatan, normal ang concerns yan. Peace and order. Ang concern yan, yung infrastruktura ba namin ma-strain. So ang pangako namin para maging palatable to, hindi dadating yan na may kasama ng paaralan, dadating yan na may kasama ng daycare. Hindi mabubulabog at hindi magbabago yung way of life nyo.
Okay. Mayor Rex, may I know, you relocated 5,000 families. How long did this process take? Para at least maintindihan ng tao. Because I've always been telling our viewers, in Singapore, they set a goal of meeting the housing problem in 5 years. And because someone sat on it and took care of the project, it got done. Kayo, how long did it take you to do 5,000 families?
From day one ng term ko, so that's already been 7 years. Actually, Cito, the first Disciplina Village took place time ni Sherwin when he was mayor. He relocated 1,000 residents right after Ondoy sa Disiplina Village Ugong. Then I became mayor and marami pa rin natira, hindi niya natapos eh. So we replicated it by coming up with 2 more Disiplina villages, and then we're opening hopefully 2 more by summer of by 2021. So that brings our total inventory to close to at least 10,000 units. That will be more than enough for all our public domain danger zone dwellers. Ano to? Riverbanks, wet tributaries, yung secondary, under transmission lines, yung mga tinamaan ng major infrastructure projects like Harbor Link, the NLEX extension, subway, yung mga tinamaan ng subway, yung mga tinamaan ng railway, anything that is part of a national government major infrastructure project. Sito, iyabang ko lang ulit. If you ask na Secretary Tugade, he always cites Valenzuela as those na magandang partnership namin kasi mag-earth movements na siya, wala nang tao doon. We've already relocated everybody under the sun. So Sito, admittedly naman, meron pa rin kaming struggle doon sa mga informal settlers in private properties. Siyempre, ang Disiplina Village, because of existing laws, allows me to relocate them yung mga nasa public domain, tabing daan, sidewalk, like I mentioned those things. Pero meron yung mga nag-squat sa mga private properties. Now, ano ginagawa namin sa kanila? 2 things. Number 1, technical know-how. What do I mean? We create subdivision plans for them. We do it. Our local in-house building officials, total sila naman ang gagawa ng mag-approve ng mga building permit niyan, gawin mo na yung mga subdivision plan niyan. How wide the roads are, ano mga basic requirements. Number 2, we talk to the owners for them. Marami naman government type of financing that will come into play. Merong socialized housing fund, merong mga loans sa pag-ibig. All you have to do is really bridge the informal settlers with the owners. Sadly kasi, you'll be surprised na maraming owners, nandyan na yung problema, may mga informal settlers sa property nila, pero allergic sila kausapin. Remember, hindi naman nakatira dito karamihan ng mga property owners. So takot na takot sila. So the LGU puts them in a table, mag-usap tayo, and assure those property owners na may government financing backing these people up. So
Essentially kayo na yung broker.
Hindi pangit yung broker para may commission doon.
You know, mediator.
Pero hindi kasi sa akin sapat yung mabili nila yung lupa tapos na eh. You have to help them create a community out of it. That's why we do the subdivision planning for them.
Sige. Malinaw na yung housing na yan. I hope our friends who are LGUs watching the program in Metro Manila and nationwide via Signal TV can talk to you and copy what you're doing. Now, let's go to contact tracing naman. Medyo pinupuri daw kayo ni Mayor Benji Magalong. He's saying that Valenzuela has got a great contact tracing system. What's behind all of this? What's the story?
Okay. When we started the pandemic in March, we always wanted to use technology to address it. Kami, here in Valenzuela, we believe technology is a way of making things more efficient. Now, we created our own app wherein we could trace relationships. Kasi di ba, ang dami naming CESU or the epidemiologist team, the contact tracers, kanya-kanyang encode yan. And we grew our body from 30 individuals to 160 individuals. So imagine mo, pag kanya-kanyang contact trace yan, baka may mga overlap na hindi natin na-detect yung mga relationship. So first things first, we created an app that is based on our GIS maps. Remember our tax maps? We do that automated eh. Yung mga assessment namin, nilayer namin doon. So napipin ka agad na saan tong mga cases na to and the relationships with each other. In fact, the system automatically prompts us if cell number 1 and cell number 2 have somebody in common. So malalaman namin na nagkakaroon ng community transmission. So fast forward, 2 months later, we outgrew that system. So we worked with a local developer with something in mind. No, we wanted to just copy whatever we saw in Singapore. You know, Singapore is a brilliant technology-based platform of governance. So we created Valtrace. Valtrace is the country's first locally generated QR code system. Now, ano ang difference namin? So first, we came up with an ordinance wherein all establishments will deny everybody entry pag enclose kapag wala kang QR code mo by October 5. by October 5. So by September 5, we launched the program, gave people time to download their QR codes online. By the way, free yung QR code for both Valenzuela residents and non-Valenzuela residents. It only takes you 3 seconds to download it, your own QR code. Now, what happens next? We go into an establishment. The establishment naman will scan it. And real time, it goes into our database. Now, why is this crucial? Number one, I think we're the only LGU na yung QR code is backed up by a local ordinance. Meaning, no QR code, no entry. Literally, in any of our industrial or commercial establishment.
Mayor Rex, pasensya ka na, no? When you say na it takes only so it takes 3 seconds to download the app, and then when I go to a store in Valenzuela, bubuksan ko lang, i-scan ko lang yung kanilang QR code.
Baliktad.
Ha? Ako yung may QR code, silang magi-scan nung binigay mong QR code.
Yes.
Yun.
Because the burden should be with the establishment, not the other way around.
Well, I love it. I really love it because I wrote a column the other early this week or the other week kung saan nagpupuputak talaga ako because there are people who will, para ako nag-apply ng trabaho, yung QR code requirement nila, kulang na lang vital statistics ko eh. Sabi ko, ano ba ito? Hindi ba dapat name, address, telephone number lang? At saka dapat
Ganun lang, email.
Ayan na pala, kanya ka pala pinupuri ni Benji Magalong eh.
Ang nangyari sa amin, napansin ko kasi, Cito, pag ikaw ang magsascan ang haba ng anong proseso, so ito, yung mabinanggit mo, 5 fields, 4 fields lang nga ata amin, name, email, number, address, yun lang eh. 4 fields, a birthday, 5 pala, you can download your QR code. You don't download the app nga, you just download the QR code. Take a screenshot out of it, print it out, bring it with you. Right now, we're hovering at 1 million individual QR codes generated already. Ano yan? That's for both Valenzuelanos and non-Valenzuelanos. Ang population namin, 650,000 lang eh. So meaning, may 400,000 na hindi taga rito na nagda-download. And tanggalin mo pa yung below 15 years old. So close to 500,000 na siguro yung nag-download na hindi taga rito but transacts in Valenzuela. So ang crucial dito kasi, Cito, we put teeth to the program. No QR code, no entry. If we find an establishment allowing people to enter without a QR code, we close down that establishment. We've done that before already. I won't name the convenience store chain, but it's part of one of those larger convenience store chains that's centrally owned. We close them down. We close down 3 of their outlets kasi we do random audit checks. And at the same time, citizens also complain. They also complain na, Mayor, hindi kami sinascan. Takot sila eh. So we look into it, plainclothes auditor, we shut them down. Now, Cito, briefly, ano yung benefits nito? I'm sure you're going to ask that.
Yeah.
If you're a citizen, nakakapikon na like you said eh. Pasok ka sa mall, sulat ka. Mabuti ko sa iyo nga QR eh, pero may mga pagkakataon manual, di ba? Mall to, sulat ka sa pinto, kakain ka sa fast food sa loob, sulat ka ulit sa loob, magsa-shop ka sa 3 tindahan, sulat ka ng 3 beses, 5 beses ka susulat. Now, think of it. The line build-up is actually negating the social distancing kasi kakasulat nila sa maliit na papel. Ang hirap nun na nag-iipon sa pinto, nawawala lang ang social distancing. It's so inefficient. Number 2, yung ballpen, pinagpapasapas.
Exactly.
Hindi ba source ng transmission yan? And then pangatlo, dito ka matutuwa eh. Do you really believe that those sheet of papers matter? Hindi naman nakakonect sa kahit anong database yun eh.
Correct.
Diba?
Pakitang tao.
For the sense of compliance.
Pakitang tao. Yeah.
Diba? And number 3, data privacy. Parang nilalagay mo sa tambiolo, sa isang kahon yung pangalan mo, parang pupunot ng raffle eh. Raffle na walang nananalo. Paano kung may masamang tao kunin yung basic information mo doon sa box? We don't even know how they store it and how they dispose of it. You know, nakakatawa. When we launched this program, I did an FGD with the end users, of course, yung mga kumpanya. Kasi they're prescribed a scanner for free. You download also the scanner if you're an establishment online, doon sa same app, and you just have to put your business permit number. You get your own scanner. You don't need to buy anything. Your phone will do. Basta prescribe lang yung scanner para isang klase lang ginagamit namin. It's totally for free. Tinanong ko sila, sabi ko doon sa store manager, boss, Binabasa niyo ba yan? Hindi nga, Mayor, eh. Yung buong bodega nga namin, punong-puno na ng ganyang papel. Hindi na nga namin alam saan itatago eh. Pero ni minsan, never namin ginalaw. At least in Valtrace, all as you scan, it goes into our database. So we have a mega contact tracing center. It's a help desk or a call center. So let's say Cito, si Rex Gatchalian tumawag doon. May symptoms po ako eh. We send a swabber. We do the testing for free. We have our own molecular lab eh.
Oh.
Okay, you test positive. Our contact tracer will call you again. Sir, ma'am, Mr. Gatchalian, nag-positive kayo. Sino ba yung mga contact nyo? Di ba? Ganyan mangyayari. From our experience, ang natatandaan lang nila, pamilya nila, tsaka katrabaho. They're so distraught with being positive, they totally forgot where they went the past 48 hours.
Correct.
Natural. So tuloy, ang nangyayari sa contact tracing na contacts namin, it's only family and co-workers. So ang nipis. Pero with Valtrace, what happens now is we pull out that person's file. Mr. Gatchalian, nakita ko in the past 48 hours, nagpunta ka sa showroom ng Hyundai. Meron ka ba nakasalamuha doon na matagal? Ay, oo! Suddenly, they remember. Remember, hindi naman porket nagpunta ka sa isang tindahan, mahahawa mo lahat doon. Pero what we're looking for there are the sustained close contacts. Like we had a case wherein nakalimutan niya lahat. Pamilya lang niya, natandaan niya. Then we saw him go into a repair shop, a car repair shop. He spent a good half day there. And then yes, he said, oo nga, yung mekaniko, nag-usap kami na matagal. May mga pagkakataon na nababa ko pa yung mask ko kasi hindi kami magkaintindihan. So we called the repair shop and we told him, look, Mr. Manager, si ganito kahapon nandyan, sino yung mekanikong kausap? So they can provide us with another set of contacts. So bottom line, mas expansive and richer yung data namin for contact tracing.
Wait a minute, Mayor Rex. Alam ko may 2 minutes to go na lang tayo, no? Kasi maraming bisita. Pero pati talyer, pati mga, basta any business establishment where there is physical contact must have this scanner, must have
No,
this
let me
system.
qualify.
Oh.
We worked with the DOH guideline, enclosed. Yung may pader.
Okay,
May
okay.
pinto. Yung mga talyer, may pintuan yan, may entrance yan eh. Di ba? Basta may pader. It can be open, walang aircon, basta may pader. Close ang qualifier namin.
Basta may pinasukan kang pintuan na merong pader, nasa loob kayo, hindi kayo open air, sorry na lang, kailangan may scanner.
Okay. Ka na. Kasi yung mga talyer, normally shed lang yan eh. Di ba?
Okay.
Pero may pintuan yan. Kasi may jalousie yan eh. Yung may roll down. Pero diba, yung mga pawn shop na over the counter, nakatayo lang sa labas eh.
Okay. Ngayon, Mayor Rex, quick question na lang. 1 minute, quick question. What's the situation as far as the typhoon? Naapektuhan ba kayo? Okay lang? No problem?
Okay naman kami, Cito. Nothing out of the extraordinary. We evacuated 400 family for preemptive and meron kaming low-lying area subdivision that went to pull out. Pero half a day, nakauwi na sila. In fact, our equipment now is helping out in Marikina, yung cleaning equipment namin. So hindi kami masyadong natamaan this time around. Sa awa ng Diyos. That's why we have spare equipment, manpower that we can volunteer for Marikina to help out. And maski pa paano may spare cash yung LGU, so we are planning to send more to Cagayan and to Isabela.
Ay, may pahabol na tanong dito. Baka naman daw kanya nyo nagagawa lahat siyang magagandang project dyan sa Valenzuela. Kasi rich si Mayor Rex. Tsaka may kuya siya na senador. May kuya ba yun? Siya na senador.
Kuya. Kuya, kahit sabihin niya siya mas bata, pero kuya yun. Sito, actually, if the LGUs just try to admittedly malaking LGU ang Valenzuela. Pero it's just about, hindi naman to lahat nangyari overnight. Pinagtulungan ng sambayanan ng Valenzuela for the past 7 years and unti-unti naming nailagay lahat to. Hindi naman perfect, Cito. Marami pa kaming gustong ayusin and the last 2 years of my term, marami pang pwedeng gawin.
Okay. Nililinaw lang natin yan. Kasi siyempre, pag sinabi mong Gatchalian, sasabihin, mga negosyante yan, maraming pera yan, galante yung mga yan. In any case, it's good to know this is an accumulation of efforts of all people in Valenzuela. And congratulations. Sincerely, I mean it in every form. Congratulations because of this job well done, and kasabay nyo kami dyan sa improving on public housing. Thank you very much, Mayor Rex.
Cito, baka one of these days you come visit Disciplina Village so you can see it for yourself. It really looks nice and you can feel the communityship there.
Nako, matagal ko
Thank
nang
you.
gustong makalaya. Thank you very much, Mayor Rex.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Cito,
great...
and hope to see you soon again. Sorry
Okay.
about the delay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yan po si Mayor Rex Gatchalian, and it was a very nice conversation, very educational, and sana po I really wish that our other mayors, congressmen, governors. I'm not saying that Valenzuela is the be all and end all, whether it's in public housing or in COVID testing, but it gives us an example, an actual example of how things can be done better. And you don't have to necessarily just give away property, give away housing, and just be done with the problem. The problem never goes away. And obviously, Valenzuela is also evidence that when you give people the chance to prove themselves, Filipinos will always deliver, whether it's in financial responsibility. Alam nyo, hindi naman po masama reputasyon natin sa pagbabayad ng utang. Bagamat may mga nagsasabi lagi na, hey, ang Pilipino ganito, Pilipino ganon. No, we show responsibility when we are put to the task, and we are shown that it matters and it will be honored. We'll go for a break. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and you are watching us via Signal TV, channels 8 and 250, and also possible via facebook.com/OneNewsPH, and on YouTube, just enter OneNewsPH. And kamusta na lang po kay Reggie and Densco, yung mga kaibigan ko dyan sa Pangasinan na nag-comment na pumapayat na raw ako. Kailangan po kasi medyo nakaka-nervous yung balitang yung mga tabachingching, katulad ng lahi ko, susceptible to COVID. So, not so everyone is susceptible to COVID, to complications from COVID-19. We'll talk about that much later in the program. In the meantime, let's go to our next interviewee. We have with us the National Coordinator, Alyansa, Tigil, Mina, Mr. Jaybee Garganera. Jaybee, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sir Cito. Good morning to our viewers. Thank you for inviting our organization.
Yeah, JB, I'm assuming, I hope I'm right in my assumption, I'm assuming that you and your organization are happy that the President is now calling attention or focusing on illegal mining. particularly in Cagayan, etc. But
Yes.
is this the case? Natutuwa ba kayo, or do you feel that this might just end up being lip service?
Well, on one hand, we are glad that the president is thinking about the mining issue as one of the reasons why we are having these kinds of disasters. On the other hand, we want to be factual also. Sir, we've been monitoring mining activities in Cagayan, and to the best of our knowledge, since 2016 or even a few months before that, Gina Lopez has practically ordered the suspension and cancellation of all the mines in Cagayan. And we know that the Governor Mamba was supportive of that initiative, even
Hmm.
Governor Albano from Isabela. So if there are mining activities there, we are pretty sure those are illegal small-scale mines because both DNR and the local governments have not allowed mining in the area. But as I
Hmm.
mentioned, it's very important that the one of the main cause of all these floods and disasters is deforestation. We are losing our forests, and so when we lose these forests, the disasters come in: landslides, erosion, mudslides, and flash floods. And it's a bitter lesson of both this pandemic and these typhoons. We have not taken care of our forests. This has contributed to climate change. I was really surprised. Pag-asa had a very consistent message in the past 2 weeks. This is climate change. We cannot deny this anymore. And the narrative, the story is we have not taken care of our forests. That's why we are experiencing these kinds of disasters.
Okay, but JB, I just have to. I'll be the ignorant person in the conversation, if you don't mind.
Apa.
What really is the situation? What is the connection of mining to all of
Mhm.
this flooding? Kasi, I mean, pasensya ka na, no?
Yes.
Usapang kanto na lang, mining goes underground. So, I would be
Yes.
saying, mabuti nga, hindi sila binaha. Pero what is the connection of mining to flooding?
Well, lahat po kasi ng pagmimina ay kailangang maghukay. At halos lahat po ng minimina natin ay nasa bundok at gubat. Resulta po
Mm.
yan ng geology. Kaya po
Okay.
nagkaroon ng mga mineral, ginto, copper, nickel, dahil po sa milyong taon na naipit yung mga bato, yung lupa at yung mga chemicals. Kaya po nabuo yung mga mineral. Kaya
Mm.
lahat po halos ng mineral ay nasa ilalim ng lupa, at yung mga magagandang kalidad ng mineral nasa matataas na lupa, nasa bundok po. Kasi ibig
Mm.
sabihin po ng bundok, matagal na panahon, daang libong taon or milyong taon na nag-ipit-ipit at nag-umpugan. Kaya mas maganda po yung kalidad ng mineral doon. Sa
Okay.
datos po namin, ang two-thirds ng ating mga biodiversity area, halos lahat po ng bundok ay may gubat at halos natitira nating gubat, two-thirds po niyan may mga kontrata at aplikasyon ng pagmimina. Pero
Mhm.
pag-usapan na lang po natin, paano nga po yung connection? Bago po kasi magmina, permanenteng pagbabago po yan ng lupa. It's a permanent land use change. Ang una
Okay.
pong kailangan gawin sa pagmimina, ayan po, yung nakikita nyo po, medyo middle stage na yun na pagmimina. Pero bago po hukayin, magpuputol po muna ng puno yan. Hindi po kasi maaabot ng mga makina, mga equipment ng minero, yung mineral, kapag kami nakaharang na puno. At
Mhm.
pag naputol na po yung puno, tsaka po nila bubuksan yung butas.
Mhm.
Usually, ang tawag po open pit mining. At pag nabuksan na po yung butas, tsaka po sila kukuha ng mineral. Doon po yung ugnayan kaagad dahil ang pagmimina ay kailangan ng permanenteng pagbabago ng lupa. Yung dating gubat na may puno, puputulin yung
But
puno, makakalbo yung gubat, tsaka po magbubutas ng mina.
JB, hindi ba, haven't we banned open pit mining in the Philippines?
Well, may administrative order po si Ma'am Gina,
Oo.
the late Gina Lopez, pero administrative order po siya eh. Hindi po ito napapatupad nung mapalitan siya, nung maalis siya, kasi administrative order. Ang status po niya ngayon ay policy ng DENR. Pero meron po kasing mas mataas na polisiya, which is sa Republic Act, yung batas, yung Philippine
Mm.
Mining Act. Eh meron pong incoherence, inconsistent po. May batas na pumapayag sa pagmimina, may polisiya sa loob ng DNR na ipinagbabawal yung isang forma ng pagmimina, yung open pit mine. Maganda po sana ay kung naglabas ng executive order si President Duterte, na pangako niya mula nung kampanya hanggang nung unang taon ng kanyang administrasyon. Pero wala po tayong executive order to ban open pit mine. So essentially po, pinapayagan pa rin po ang open pit mining ngayon.
Okay, in the affected areas, northern Luzon, in the mountains, hills of
Opo.
northern Luzon,
Mhm.
ano po
Mhm.
ba, what is the prevailing practice that has caused all of this
Mhm.
flooding? Kasi I want to be pinpoint in our discussion, no? Is it
Mhm.
really open pit mining in those areas?
Well, mining by itself, isa po siya sa mga factor kung bakit po
Mm.
nagiging abnormal yung mga floods natin ngayon. Pero ang laki po kasi nung Northern Luzon, sa amin pong paalam with history at saka previous experience, yung Sierra Madre po na a couple of decades ago, kayang-kaya niya siguro pong sipsipin yung ganitong karaming ulan. Pero
Mm.
bukod po sa pagmimina, meron tayong logging, matindi po ang conversion sa loob ng Sierra Madre, meron agriculture, pinasok ng tourism, pinasok ng other economic activities. Hindi na po
Mm.
kaya nung Sierra Madre. Malaki po yung Sierra Madre from Isabela hanggang dito sa Rizal. And
Mm.
that's the story po. Wala na po yung gubat na sisip-sip nung ulan para maiwasan yung baha at landslides. Kaya nandyan na po yung epekto ngayon. Mag-overflow talaga yung mga rivers. Pero
Mm.
again, sasabihan po ko ng mga members ko sa alliance namin, based on science tayo, JB, and the studies ng aming members like Haribon Foundation or
Yeah.
partners namin like WWF and the other organizations, miski po dito kasi sa downstream, yun po ang bumabara rin. Manila Bay, and the
Mm.
other tributary sana nitong Sierra Madre Range, eh, ang dami pong fish pond ngayon dito. Kaya, at saka yung waste din po natin.
Mm.
Para pong ang hirap
So,
isipin,
so
sa
it,
Cagayan, tsaka sa Bulacan, tsaka dito sa baha.
Kasi ang sa akin, nung nag-uusap kami ni Governor Mamba, ang sinasabi ko was, baka naman dahil
Opo.
kinonvert na natin yung maraming parte dyan sa Sierra Madre into vegetable terraces, into residential areas, etc. Baka kanya naman silang nandito sa paahan, sila ngayon ang namumroblema. So in any case, what would you recommend to the President at this point, JB?
Well, there are some practical things po. Number one, baka po pwedeng i-implement muna yung moratorium on all deforestation activities. And in this case, isa po yung mining, isa po yung conversion, isa po yung kahit po legal tree cutting, masyado pong malaki ang ating demand for reforestation. Yeah. So that's the first one. Kailangan pong ibalik yung gubat. And with the National Greening Program, I give credit to DNR, pero masyado pong marami ang mortality and even corruption in that. Dapat po i-address yan. Second, I would recommend, well, we are saying to the President, we need a new mining law. Itong pagmimina natin ay blind po sa climate change, blind po sa disaster risk reduction, kaya hindi po angkop ang mga preparation, hindi kumpleto because all mining contracts now, hindi po nila na-consider yung climate change and disasters. Third po, nire-recommend ko, I think the economic team of the Duterte administration made a mistake in recommending para daw po bumangon ang ating ekonomiya, magbukas pa ng mas maraming mina at mag-approve pa ng maraming mining contract to stimulate jobs, revenues, and investment. Economic statistics will bear us out po, whether we look at the last 3 years or we expand it to the last 30 years. Hindi insignificant po ang contribution ng mining to jobs, revenues, and investment. And at the costs we are looking
In
at,
the
more
in the
landslides.
Philippines, JB.
In the Philippines, yes, po, in the
okay.
Philippines. In fact, less than 1% of our GDP ang na-contribute ng mining and quarrying and small scale. It doesn't make sense, Sir Cito. Why are we going to prioritize a 1% contributor to our economy na magbabanta will threaten 17%, which is agriculture and forestry and fisheries. And so we recommend to the President, please rethink that policy. Ngayon pong new normal, nagbabago ang klima, this is the time that we need more forests and more mining and more extractive activities will definitely not be part of the solution po.
Okay, nabanggit mo kanina yung quarrying kasi I mean I have to agree with you on the quarrying because I spent a lot of time 2018, 2019 going up north and medyo na-shock talaga ako doon kasi sabi ko grabe naman to yung bundok kinakalkal na ng kinakalkal to get construction material, dumping material for infrastructure projects. But what are you suggesting? Kasi you know your opponents would say, kailangan namin mag-quarry para makagawa ng highways. Kailangan namin mag-quarry para makagawa ng mga lugar na i-develop ng gobyerno.
But I think pwede yun nating lagyan ng distinction. Yung quarrying for infrastructure projects, that is one of the rational ways and very justified po yung pag-quarry. Ang hindi po natin ma-justify na quarrying ay kung hindi siya nakasama in any long-term plan. So for example po, kung magka-quarry tayo ng dolomite at para siya ay para pang beautification or pang ornament use at wala po siyang significant contribution sa construction or infrastructure development, I don't think yun po ay rational way of use ng ating natural resource. In the same way, kung magka-quarry po tayo, sana doon sa gagamitin nga talaga nating local infrastructure. Pero kung magka-quarry po tayo at yun ay pang tugon or pang sagot doon sa requirements ng ibang bansa. Halimbawa, if we are going to quarry limestone and we are going to respond doon sa cement requirement ng ibang bansa, palagay ko po hindi magandang formula yon in using our natural resources. I think yung quarrying, pinakamaganda pong justification for quarrying is kung yung kinakwari doon sa lugar na yon ay gagamitin para sa infrastructure development ng lugar na yon. Kasi ibig pong sabihin, maaring makaambag yung quarry na yon para gumawa ng kalsada, para umunlad yung bayan na yon or probinsya na yon. Pero halimbawa po, kung tama po yung naisip ko, halimbawa magkakwari sa Zambales, tapos ang makikinabang ay Maynila or yung region 1 because of their tourism development, medyo kawawa po yung Zambales and Central Luzon in that equation.
Ayun, kumbaga giniba yung isang region para itayo yung isang region. Medyo tama ka nga naman.
Oo. Pero ang sigurong medyo mas rational pa talaga, Sir Cito, baka kailangan ayusin yung cost-benefit analysis ng isang extractive project. At ito, sinasabi ko rin po ito sa Chamber of Mines. Sinasabi ko sa kanila, our challenge is, pag gumawa ang mga mining company ng cost-benefit analysis, what's the cost of doing the mining? Ano bang gastos ko pag nagmina ako? At yung benefit ay, ano yung kita ko mula dun sa minina ko? And I told the chamber, look, at this juncture na may climate change, yung cost ay hindi lang yung ano ang ginagastos sa pagmimina. There are health costs, there are environmental costs, there are social costs na hindi nyo na-factor in sa inyong cost-benefit analysis. Pagdating sa benefit, hindi naman pwedeng yung kita nyo lang as minero ang benefit. We should make sure na yung mga host communities and the local government, lalo na yung LGU, should also be part of the benefit sharing. Pero right
Okay.
now po kasi,
Pero may
talo
last
tayo
question.
sa equation.
Yeah, last question, JB, kasi naubusan na ako ng oras. Very interesting yung sinasabi mo. May nadinig akong suggestion. There was a recent suggestion that we should simply get the mining companies to fund the reforestation and to manage the reforestation projects, because government by itself, as you pointed out, kulang yung pondo, may corruption, marami ang mortality in those planting because it's not really their core competency. Whereas private sector could hire professionals and we would probably have a 50% more or 50% better results dito. Anong reaction mo dito?
Two things, Sir Cito. First, in principle, any contribution to reforestation or conserving our forest is very much welcome from the private sector, from the government, from every individual. I think we recognize important that everyone is contributing. However, we should be clear, yung pagbibigay po ng opportunity for mining companies to contribute to reforestation does not mean that they can cut all the trees anywhere they want. I think meron po kasing mga dapat munang mangyari. First, there are areas in the Philippines po na even the Mining Act does not allow mining to happen. Dapat po i-recognize muna ng mga minero yan. There are no-go zones, there are protected areas, and so hindi nila dapat pasukin yon. Precisely because of the nature and topography of these locations, kaya hindi pwedeng putulin ng puno, hindi pwedeng hukayin ng mina. Second po, ang alam ko na commitment ay 1 hectare, parang 1:10 ang ratio. For every hectare of forest na tatanggalin or puputulin ng isang mining company, the commitment is to replant 10 hectares. On paper and in numbers, para pong impressive yan. Pero ang limitation po natin, what has been destroyed in a primary forest, the biodiversity, and all those ecological services na naibibigay ng isang 50-year-old forest na lang. Huwag na nating tingnan yung 100-year-old forest. Hindi po yan maibabalik ng isang new forest na katatanim mo pa lang ngayon.
Hindi. Parang
while we welcome yung ganong initiative,
parang sinabi natin, JB, na yung lolo ko namatay, balik mong buhay. In any case, thank you very much, JB. And wala, ganun yun di ba? Thank you very much, and we will continue to monitor these issues, and we can only pray and hope for resolution from all sides, because at the end of the day, we all suffer. Have a good day, JB, and please stay safe, stay strong,
thank you, Sir
and
Cito.
stay healthy. Okay, yan po si Jaybee Garganera. Binabasa ko para sigurado at baka ma-murder natin yung kanyang apelyido. National Coordinator, Alyansa, Tigil, Mina, and We will now go for a break, and when we return, we will then discuss with my friend Dr. Amal regarding Amal Makhloufi regarding diabetes. Kasi hindi po ito, this is not consultation, ano? This is to become aware of the state of diabetes in the time of COVID. What should we know? What can we do? And what should you out there who are potential diabetes victims know and prevent? Okay, we'll go for a quick break. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome to the third and final segment of Agenda here on Signal TV channels 8 and 250. And before we get to our next interview, allow me to just greet our friends at Geely, the automotive company, particularly my friend Froilan Ditian Quinn. Binabasa ko kasi matagal ko nang kaibigan to si Froilan, pero ang hirap hirap i-pronounce ang pangalan. I don't know what it is with this guy, Froilan, no? He has a difficult to pronounce name, Ditian Quinn, and now they're launching a new product. I think it's a SUV or cross. I don't know. It's so new. I have no idea what it will be, but it's a new vehicle of Geely called Okavango. Parang Wakanda forever or ganun ba yun? Ewan ko na. In any case, it is named from Botswana's Okavango Delta. In any case, let's go to our next interview. Another difficult to pronounce name for some people, but a really nice person to speak with and who always shares her knowledge. We have with us Dr. Amal Makhloufi of the who is the chairperson for health of the European Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines. Amal, good morning to you. Hello. Okay, we seem to be having. Okay, there we go. I can hear. I can hear Amal. I can't see Amal. Okay, Gab, can you check that out first? At saka baka akala ninyo, Amal Clooney, Amal Makhloufi po. Kung Amal Clooney, ito jackpot na, no? Jackpot na yung interview ko, no? Siguro, ano na, magte-trending na, etc. But nonetheless, Dr. Amal Makhloufi, I've known her for some time, and she just, she's always generous with her knowledge, and she knows her stuff when it comes to diabetes, or she won't be in that position. But nonetheless, I won't dare play doctor, but recently I've come across some situations where people have been wondering if they actually have diabetes. Kasi may mga nagtatanong ng mga kaibigan, they're wondering regarding the signs, because some people say, I'm suddenly so weak, so tired, and then some people are worried they have diabetes, and they have no idea how dangerous being a diabetic is in terms of COVID-19. We have Dr. Amal Makhloufi back. Amal, good morning to you again. There we go.
Hi, Cito. Could you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. I can see you very clearly as well. Amal, thank you for joining us this morning. And I'm glad that you're available, because I have had encounters with people in the last few weeks who are concerned. First, diabetics who are concerned about their risk in time of COVID-19, as well as people who can't really tell if they're diabetic and are scared to go to hospitals.
Yes, it's true, Cito. I can understand from where they are coming. Because, in general, people with diabetes are more likely to have more severe symptoms and complications when infected with any virus. Your risk of getting very sick from COVID-19 is likely to be lower if you are diabetes well managed. So don't be very scared. You have to be cautious and careful. Take the necessary precaution.
Okay, now what is the situation? You are the chairperson for health for the European Chamber of Commerce in the Philippines. I would assume that you are in contact with health officials. What is the general situation in the Philippines in terms of diabetes cases or patients, and the Filipinos' appreciation of diabetes? Are we being careful about diabetes, or is it, if it happens, it happens?
So diabetes. So I am the chairman of the health committee of CCP, but also I am on the ground as leading a company that's very evolved in managing diabetes and fighting diabetes, and especially during this pandemic. The topic is how can people with diabetes who need to have access to care in daily basis, managing their diabetes, during this pandemic. The cases have been rising. Hopefully, the last few weeks we are stabilizing. We are even seeing the new cases decreasing, which is a good thing because I think people now are more cautious, practicing distancing measures, etc. And people with diabetes have been left behind the last few weeks because the lack of access to care. As everyone grounded, people are scared to go to hospital, so they didn't access to their doctors and to the care. So what we've done in our domain, helping and supporting government and people navigating in this new normal, we were promoting the telemedicines
Okay.
to enable people to access to care because this is the most important thing.
Do you have companies or sites that people can go to consult via telemedicine?
Yes, there are many telemedicine platforms available. To mention few of them, Aid, for example, Sirius MD. And what we've done with the Sanofi, we put this platform together in a e-health ecosystem, a healthcare ecosystem. People can go to our website, www.sanofi.ph. They will find, they tap We Health, WE Health. They will find a virtual ecosystem, healthcare ecosystem, where all the link to this platform are available. And more than that, they have also access to online pharmacy to be able to access to their treatment and to have it delivered at home. And in the same ecosystem, they will also access to our online education program where nurses can help them with advices and supporting them in the management of their disease.
Yeah, you mentioned telemedicine, Amal, and
Yes.
because I don't know, maybe I'm just so Jurassic. I belong to the old school. I always think that if you want to know you're diabetic or not, it will require a blood test. But are there other ways via telemedicine to tell if a person is really diabetic or not, and what type of diabetes he has?
Yes, of course. I think the diagnostic start with consulting. People need to consult and to speak to doctor. The doctor will ask you about your condition, the history of your family, your lifestyle, and symptoms. And after that, if he assessed that the risk of being diabetes is high, he will request some blood exam. And
Yeah.
with this telemedicine platform, you can access to laboratory service. They can come to your home and get you exam. You can also have an appointment, but the first thing is to consult, to
Okay.
do a check. Yes.
We're talking about diabetes and COVID-19. I think it's already common knowledge that people with diabetes are high risk as far as COVID-19 is concerned. But what people seem to miss is the connection between heart attacks, or is it stroke, and diabetes, because I mean, sad to say, I lost two friends this past 2 weeks, and we suspect that it wasn't a simple case of a heart attack because they were both highly diabetic.
Yes, you are true, Cito. Let me share with you a few numbers just for people to realize how this diabetes is an epidemic disease. There were 463 million adults living with diabetes across the world. What it means? It means 1 out of 11 adults who have the condition in the world. And in the next 10 years, the number is expected to escalate to almost 600 million. And as if these figures are not alarming enough, the International Diabetes Federation reports that there are more than 2 million people who remains undiagnosed, and majority of them has type 2 diabetes. And many of those with diabetes belong to low and middle income countries. So what about the number here in the Philippines?
Yeah.
Within the context of the Philippines, diabetes is a leading cause of death among Filipinos, and the numbers continue to rise. We estimate at least about 3.7 million diabetic Filipino. And this number is expected to double in the next 5 years. And among them, only 34% are diagnosed, 27% are treated, and only 11% on insulin. And among those who are treated, less than 50% are able to manage or control their disease. And when you don't control your disease, this is where you get complication. And we estimate one life is lost every 7 seconds because of diabetes and its complication. When we said lives lost, of course, no one is dying because diabetes. People are dying because of complication. And one of the most severe complication is heart attack, is the heart and kidney disease.
Renal failure.
Renal failure, exactly.
Amal, I thank you for pointing that out because a lot of us, but I don't know, Filipinos and I guess people around the world, we compartmentalize. Oh, he has a heart problem. Oh, he has a diabetes. Oh, he needs to have what do you call it, dialysis. But they don't do the connection, bad lifestyle or poor lifestyle, poor medical history, and then you have a heart disease, and then you have a renal failure, etc. And it's all because lifestyle and diabetes.
Yeah, it's true. Diabetes, it's a chronic disease, meaning when you get it, you get it. The most important is to try to prevent it. And how you will try to prevent it. Of course, when you have a family history, you are at more risk. But you can see in the same family, the parents are diabetic. One kid will have it, the other one will avoid it. Why? Because of the lifestyle, meaning we can prevent it. And even if we get it, we can manage it. Diabetes is controllable and we can live a long life, normal long life. How? It's by being cautious, by improving our lifestyle. Food is very important. Exercise is very important.
Well, good that you mentioned that because I've always been telling people who work with me or for me, particularly in construction or in the farm, I keep telling them, will you jokers please reduce your rice input because that is going to add to your problems. The Filipinos are gluttons with rice. We will die with our rice, and me included. But I've managed to reduce my rice, and my doctors told me, Cito, that's a good move because that will reduce the possibility of you being diabetic. Is this urban legend or is this medical fact that the more rice you consume, the higher your risk of complications like diabetes?
Yes, you are right. Rice and many other foods, even if you eat it, it's forbidden, but it's the quantity. You have to manage the quantity of rice or other food that are not really requested when you are at risk or when you have diabetes. So let me share with you some basics, right?
Okay.
So it will help you a lot to have a firm grasp of what causes diabetes, what measures you should take to manage it, and what can help you avoid related health problems.
Okay, it just has to be fast, Amal, because we're down to 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay. So healthy diet and regular physical actually can prevent it, like reducing the amount of calories, replacing saturated fats with unsaturated fats, eating more dietary fiber and avoiding tobacco, excessive alcohol, and high sugar intake. This is in general the advice we give on food. Second
Okay.
is regular physical activity.
Mhm.
It will help you to keep blood glucose levels. You know what we are saying during this pandemic, Cito?
Yeah.
Doctors are comparing sedentary to tobacco. Need to move. Everyone is grounded at home. Everything is on Zoom. People are not walking anymore. And I am inviting you to go on takbo.ph where we launched a virtual run, step
Mhm.
up, during 1 month from November 15 to December 15. Choose your distance
Mhm.
and challenge yourself. You need to walk, you need to run, you need to do exercise. This is the most important thing during this pandemic.
Okay, I think you have been talking to my wife and my physical therapist. Uh, apparently, everyone is telling me to walk and do something. In any case, Amal, as always, thank you very much for joining us today. I'm sure that as simple as our conversation was, I think it hits home, it makes the point, and I do hope that Sanofi and the European Chamber of Commerce and all of your partners in this campaign will succeed in getting the Filipinos to takbo, even if it's virtually takbo, even if it's only on your stationary bike or whatever. And thank you for being with us today, Amal.
It's my pleasure, Cito. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Okay, that's Dr. Amal Makhloufi, Chairperson for Health, European Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines. And that is a very strong reminder to all of us. No? Gumalaw po kayo. Excuse me. Gumalaw kayo, move, be active, and please, no, I don't want to be a spoiler, but I just want to point out to you, I have shifted from white rice to brown rice. I even like black rice, actually. And I have gone from one bowl, isang mangkok, to half a cup. And I don't miss it because the stomach will automatically start tightening up as you exercise, as you reduce your intake, and you will be healthier. Because mga kaibigan, friends, please, if you want to see what your future can be with diabetes, go to the National Kidney Center or a local dialysis center. Talk to people who have extreme or severe diabetes, and you will find out it's not easy. It is painful, and it always becomes tragic. So I hope you will take care of your bodies because, as the Bible teaches us, your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Honor it, respect it, make it healthy and useful. And I hope that you have a great day. God bless all of you and your family. And I will now go have my breakfast. Have a good day.